All right, folks, good morning. Good morning. Just a quick heads up. We got about 1 minute, so we'll start with a call to order and some introductions. So please grab you some additional food, top off and warm up your coffees, your teas, your beverages. We'll get started in just a moment. Check, check. Marcus, sorry to interrupt you earlier while you were talking to Jenny. My bad. Zach will probably come hang out with you here a little bit. Zach will probably come hang out with you. Yeah. Aaron Lockerheimer with you. Cool. Hopefully that's not a mistake. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. All right, folks, let's go ahead and grab our seats if possible. As you are able, breakfast will still be up for a little bit there, so please help yourself. On that note, a huge, huge, huge thank you to Kenton with Zoo Catering here in the back. He's still doing the good work. I like to start my day with a big deep breath, I also like to start my day with a happy moment, and nothing can make me more happier than being with people I call friends, breaking bread. So you're helping me start the day off great. Another way to start off this meeting today here at the Grant Awards interview day is to do a quick call to order, which is this, and to do some introductions. We do have some newer folks joining here in person as well as via Zoom shortly. They may only join for the interviews and throughout the day. So we'll start with some introductions. To aid us in that, I need a favor from you. You may have already done this, but if your name card is still facing you, I'd encourage you to go ahead and turn it around just so that if you're newer in here or if you're more seasoned, you can kind of connect with one another, continue to put face to name as we walk through the day and the year. It's also helpful as our presenters come in, right, to see a little bit about who you are if they need. With that said, we'll start with some introductions. I wonder if could we start at the end just to kind of make things go around? Marcus will come back to you with our NSFP Pro staff near the end, okay? Lisa. Hello, everyone. Lisa.
We're from South Virginia. We are co-chairs for Class of 2026. And we have a daughter, Jasmine here. She's a sophomore here at Chapel Hill. My husband's pleasure watching virtually from our husband Piper. We have a daughter that graduated from the second year. Najee. We're from Conover, which is near Hickory, the Peacock. We have our son Hayden, who is a senior. He'll be graduating in May and moving to Atlanta, working for EY. And Flagler. Then our daughter Anna Grace is a nutrition pre-med student, sophomore, and so she's taking advantage of so many opportunities here, and we're excited to be here with all of you today.
All right. Good morning. We are Tim and Chrissy Coley. We are the current national chairs. We live nearby in Durham, North Carolina. Our daughter Anna is a senior. She'll be graduating and probably starting a master's program.
Good morning. I am James Courtney. This is my lovely wife, Elise, and we're the past national chairs of the Parents Council. We live in the metropolis of Clayton, North Carolina. And our daughter graduated in the spring of 23.
We'll skip for now. We'll do it at the end, okay? Does that work?
Morning, Peter and Nika Henderson are both here in the class. Grandparent Tyler, for the Catholic Sciences.
And he's at a senior who is studying and a sophomore who is we're in the fun fact, we were at the game last weekend, and every game we've been to, which is about 3 football games, 3 basketball games, and not one. So we have one request.
Yeah.
Get us tickets.
I love that. And Zach mentioned tickets last night, so I'm gonna pass that one right over. That good, just good vibes, right? I love it. All right. I think that is all of our Parents Council folks today. We'll have some folks that'll exit later before the day is up, and then some folks come in. Just a heads up about that. Totally fine. We do have some staff here helping support the day. So where we ended, we'll start. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Good evening, I'm Jen. Here, but I'm 17. I kind of dabble in everything. This is my first Parents Council grant interview day, so I'm talking to see how this operates. I've seen the behind the scenes of these grant groups asking for money or looking for us to purchase things for them. This is my first time getting to see this actually come together for the beginning of it all.
Oh, I love that you're pumped. I hope we're all pumped. Rosemary? Zach.
Yeah, sure. Zach Hawkins, Director of Development for Student Affairs. So good to see each of you today. The reminder for me is this is where your generous gifts go to make these grants possible. So we want to thank you for making these possible and giving them the opportunity to apply. Because you will hear some amazing pictures today and you will grant some amazing projects today. It's because they get a lot. Thank you.
Marcus.
Morning, Marcus Willett. I am the business officer for the Superintendent Program. So, interesting with your plan.
Marcus.
Y'all, the real clap and gratitude goes to Marcus, because so each of us here are going to be representing something else going on. He just mentioned, so after all this is said and done, he's helping manage a lot of the processes, jumping through the university hoops when it comes to using this funding, especially when it comes to the groups who don't have professional or faculty that are connected to it, that are student driven solely. He's the guy, and he's amazing with students. Also, his partner and wife is in Carolina Housing and is also an amazing asset to this institution, Kayla. So they are an incredible team. Jenny today will be helping pull people in and out that are interviewing, giving them the rundown of what to expect, handing them over to Tim and Chrissy Coley, who will get them started and help exit folks. She will then help exit them and transition to the next folks. Rosemary, along with the Patels, I know the Voners are taking notes, just taking really good notes about what you all share to help us write really good decisions, no matter the outcome for our students and our faculty and staff, our applicants. She'll also be helping manage the Zoom space along with myself and live streaming just the interview blocks to all Parents Council members. During discussion time, we cut live stream just so that you have privacy in this space, along with the folks who are on Zoom, which I think are roughly going to be 3 or 4 couples to make those decisions. And then again, Marcus with the grant awards processing piece. Oh, me, what am I doing? I'm helping with all the things. So I'll be hosted between some of our leadership up here, helping support what's happening along the way. As we make decisions, I will also have content up here, a financial allocation worksheet that will help us guide us throughout the day in our conversations. With that said, it is 9:10. We're about 6 minutes behind the full overview. So you'll see me also probably giving folks the look, right? The look that we need to keep moving. Because as you'll see on the agenda in your packet, it's a packed day. It's a tight day. Our first interview starts at 9:20 a.m. So with just a few minutes to spare, Jenny will go out, brief those folks, get those folks in, pull up their slides, share it via Zoom, turn it over to the Coleys. The Coleys will be welcoming folks, giving them the rundown of what to expect in terms of their pitch. They'll have 7 minutes to really make their effort shine. You've done the homework, you've read the content, you've scored it. It's their moment to really hit the high points and then answer questions for you for about 3 minutes. Then they'll exit. We'll do it all over again. 5 interviews in 4 blocks today. James and Felice will be keeping time today. So they will be having a timer set up. They also have placards for our presenters so they can keep tabs. They'll flash 7 minutes so that folks know and they'll see it count down. Once it hits that 0 mark, they'll put up stop. They also have a microphone and I know James ain't ashamed to get on that microphone and tell them, hey, time's up. We got to be equitable here. Everyone gets the same amount of time. So they're equipped and ready to go. I'll be supporting as well. They'll have 3 minutes for Q&A. Tim and Chrissy will be helping recognize folks around this room, you all, in terms of the questions you'd like to get a bit more information about to help you make these decisions. As those 3 minutes diminish, they'll use the placards and a stop and call time once again. At that point, the Coleys will wish them luck, wish them well, and let them know that in April, there will be decisions finalized by the larger body and award letters put out to all of them with their decisions. There are discussion periods in here, roughly 15 minutes, so a little shorter than in the past couple of years because we have a really packed day. We have a lot more applicants than we have had the past couple of years. So we'll have to be pretty orderly and pretty efficient with how we discuss. What's up, Omar? Good to see you. The Coleys will help manage that component as well. We'll pull up our worksheet and work through that. At some point in the day, we may be turning to voting to make some final decisions on award amounts. This past year, you solidified turning this long bylaws kind of piece that's very clunky and a little bit hard to really digest into an efficient standard operating procedures. One of the ways that informs us is how to manage the grant awards voting process. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Chrissy Colton to share with us what that is again.
All right, thank you, Justin. And thank you all for being here today, being a part of this day, for creating a welcoming environment for our students who are going to come in and present, and also for being very thoughtful in the questions that you prepare for them. And so, as Justin said, and as a reminder, and another thanks, thank you for approving our standard operating procedures back at our fall meeting. Our voting procedures as an executive committee are this. That each executive committee member unit present is entitled to one vote. And so that means that Felice gets a vote. That means it's within the unit, you get one vote. So it's not a vote per person, but a vote for per family unit. A quorum of 33% of the individual members must be present. We have that quorum. We are in great shape. And then a majority vote of the quorum shall constitute the official decision. So as we have voting later today, and we are kind of weighing those decisions, it will be a majority vote to finalize decisions. Are there any questions with that?
So we're just asking you and your partner to come together and vote for your family.
Please already told me she's voting. I'm worried at all. Kim, I'm sitting right beside you. I know where you things are.
Justin, I think that's everything. Thank you.
What?
With that said, good morning to our Vice Chancellor, Amy Johnson. For those of you who were here last night, she, along with some of other staff, were present as we enjoyed some meal together. But it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. We are roughly 5 minutes out from our very first interview, believe it or not. So Jenny is already outside waiting on those folks. We have their presentation ready. We're going to have a good start to this. We're going to rock it out. We're going to make some good, some hard, but really good decisions today. I'm stoked for it. Know that we, myself, Zach, Marcus, Jenny, Rosemary are here to support. It's going to be awesome. I know it. All the while, again, restrooms outside of the waiting area, just around the corner. There's amazing food still up here, some beverages. Please make sure you top yourself off and stay refreshed. We are so fortunate that Ken and his crew at Zoo Catering are coming back for lunch. We'll have a wonderful spread then as well to make sure we are refreshed, have energy, hopefully not put us in a coma for this third interview block, but we'll make it happen. So with that said, get yourself set. We're ready to go. Any questions?
I think I misplaced this. Is there an extra? No. Lisa.
So in the past, our daughter also presented and we recused ourselves. We just stepped out and didn't participate in any discussion about what she presented. I don't know if that's the standard procedure, but that's just what we did.
That's a space where it's important that we probably put some attention to it as we collectively make plans. You're not alone. The libraries I see raising their hand, they also have a student involved with a particular grant. They will also recuse themselves, exit when the interview happens. And as things come to a vote for particular amounts, do the same. Just step away. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great question.
I did want to say that when we recognize you with your questions, if you don't mind, I will call you by your first name if you have a question. But then if you don't mind introducing yourself to the students and just, you could introduce yourself however you would like to introduce yourself. But do you mind if I use your first name if you have questions? Okay. Thanks.
It's possible I may share my lapel mic because that's what I'm doing, or steal the Corpening's mic briefly just to help run it around the room to ask questions as well. I think it's important for our Zoom folks to hear the question, to understand the context, but also not re-ask a question because they couldn't hear it. So just a heads up, I'll probably be running that to you.
I just always wanted to do this. If you pretend you ask Chrissy a question. That's gonna happen one time today.
I'll make no statement. Good morning. It is so nice to meet you both. Thank you for being with us today. We are Tim and Chrissy Coley. We're the national chairs of the Carolina Parents Council. And on behalf of our Carolina Parents Council Executive Committee, we would like to say thank you for your application for our grants award. Thank you for being with us today. We are very much looking forward to your presentation. And so as a part of your presentation, it's a 10-minute interview. You'll have 7 minutes to present. And Mr. and Mrs. Corpening are going to be taking time, so you'll be able to see the amount of time you have left. When you see the stop sign, Mrs. Corpening will ask you to please complete your last thought. And then we'll have 3 minutes for questions and answers. Do you have any questions before we get started?
Not at this time.
Okay, wonderful. Well, please proceed.
Thank you. So I am Alicia Freeman. I am the program manager of the Mental Health First Aid Program. We're located in the School of Social Work in the Behavioral Health Springboard. And this is
I'm Isabella Keeper, and I am the undergraduate intern with Mental Health First Aid this semester.
okay. So first off, we just want to share some data about the concerns that we want to address with our grant proposal. So nationally, about 60% of college students meet the criteria for at least one mental health challenge per year in any given year. And even between 2009 and 2015, so this is before the pandemic, the number of students seeking help in campus counseling centers had already increased by 40%. We all have experienced together the tragedy of gun violence, suicides on our campus, and even closer to home, this is from our Healthy Minds survey data. 30% of students, and these are undergraduate and graduate students, screen positive for low resilience. So we want to try to increase that. They screened 58% screen positive for loneliness, and we know that belonging and that sense of belonging is really important to student success and retention. 36% of our students met the criteria for positive mental health. So that's less than 50%. We really want to support our students here. And then most concerning, 12%, so that was 131 students that answered that survey had seriously considered suicide within the last year. And then 10 of those students had actually attempted. So here's our response to some of these concerns.
So what is mental health first aid? Similar to how you would use physical first aid or CPR as the first line of defense against someone who's experiencing a physical health crisis or illness, mental health first aid is the initial help offered to a person developing or experiencing a mental health or substance abuse crisis or challenge. The first aid is given until proper help can be received, proper treatment, or until the crisis resolves.
Not sure why
So what exactly the participants learn through the mental health first aid training? They're going to learn risk factors and warning signs of a developing crisis, and just some different signs to look for to help support someone. They're going to learn information about depression, anxiety, psychosis, and other mental health challenges so they can better identify it and better aid. And then they're also going to learn our 5-step action plan, which provides real life ways that you can support someone in different stages of a crisis. Finally, they're also going to be connected to different mental health resources, both nationally and on campus, that they can use to better support someone. So then specifically within the undergraduate internship, there's a lot of opportunities to support learning, both for the intern themselves, but then also in the community. First being program outreach. What I have done in program outreach in my time is I have been going to different tabling events to talk to different undergraduates about this opportunity that is free for them on campus. I've been doing community engagement through facilitating a post-show discussion at Every Brilliant Thing, which was a playmakers play about mental health that was presented on campus. Group facilitation through reaching out to the Panhellenic Association and other Greek councils to organize group trainings for them. Program development through creating a peer support pod for current mental health first aiders to provide continuous support. And then if we were able to receive this funding, the next intern would be able to do program implementation through being trained to be a course trainer and then teaching actual mental health first aid courses.
And so that brings us to our proposal. We are looking for this funding because we host at least 2 undergraduate students, typically from the Human Development and Family Sciences program. We have not been able to offer them training because the instructor training costs about $2,000 per person. So with this grant, we would be able to get our interns trained. So not only could they do the outreach, the engagement across campus, they could also teach the training to their peers when they set up those trainings with the folks they're reaching out to. And so that is our funding request is $4,000. So $2,000 for each of those interns, and hoping to just create more learning opportunities and personal and professional development. And so that wraps us up for questions.
Lisa and Isabella, thank you so very much. We appreciate your presentation. At this time, we'll have 3 minutes for Q&A. Who has a question for Alicia and Isabella? Yes, Mark.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. Great presentation. I just wanted to confirm that this is for getting training for the 2 initial trainers, and I see that this is a one-time request. So the idea then is to have, once those trainers are trained, that they will be able to then to perpetuate the training by training others. Is that the general concept? Just want to confirm, train the trainer, right?
Correct. And the training, the instructor training they're receiving is a national training. So actually they could take that training and provide it to community members. They could create their own business, or they could work with the National Council to train other people. But for our purposes, we are training them to train other undergraduate students.
Sanjay.
Hello, Sanjay Patel, and yes, wonderful presentation. My question is, how do you go out and find the kids that are at risk and identifying? I would think that most of them aren't really willing to come out and explain their situation, so you have to go seek them out. So we're just wondering how you find them.
Reach out at
So for example, whenever I was tabling a few weeks ago at the undergraduate outreach fair, my goal was just to get the information into the hands of as many students as possible, because once students are trained as mental health first aiders, they know how to recognize the signs of if their friends are at risk for experiencing these challenges or going through these crises. And then hopefully through this training, they have the skills and the tools to recognize those who are at risk and then help them. And again, it's just the more people we can get trained, hopefully the more we can reach.
And so we will use like campus data as well as national data to identify specific groups to target for outreach. And so a lot of times we let the undergraduate student choose a specific outreach angle. And so because Isabella is a part of Panhellenic Council and in a sorority, that was who she chose to focus on, was fraternity and sorority life. Our intern last year actually focused on first year students through the college success course, that first year seminar.
Thank you. And we have time for one more question, Jessica.
Hi, my name's Jessica Noren. Thank you for the presentation. And there definitely is a need in the community, so appreciate that. Question I have is, how are you going to select the interns? And then what is the expectation for the interns to train others? My husband just said, for example, like RAs. How do you see that happening?
So we are provided interns that are interested in our programs directly through Human Development Family Sciences. We interview them. We talk about the opportunities we have versus what they are seeking, what their career trajectory is. And that's how we've been, we've only had interns for 2 years so far. I've actually only been in my role about 2 years. So that is how we have been selecting the interns, kind of just like an interview process, making sure that what we have aligns with what they want to do.
All
But
right. Oh,
I think there was a second part. Am I out of time?
Yes.
There was like a second part to that question.
well, please. Yeah, go ahead.
The second part of that question was how are they gonna focus on those different groups? So we tend to send emails through outreach. We also do surveys. So right now Isabella is creating some surveys just to get input on different things so that we know who those groups are, what their availability is, and we can also just set up general trainings that meet their availability and just send those out and get folks signed up. And we offer virtual and in person. We are very flexible on the need.
Hey, thank y'all very much for your presentation and answering our questions. You'll be hearing from the new student and family programs. So you'll hear in April about the outcome, and really appreciate you coming in this morning. Thank you. Good job, everybody.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. I'm Chrissy Coley. This is my husband, Tim Coley. We are the national chairs for the Carolina Parents Council. And on behalf of our executive committee, I would like to say thank you for your application for a grants award. We're really excited to hear about your application around the European Union simulation. And so as a part of your presentation today, you'll have 10 minutes to present. I'm sorry, you'll have 7 minutes to present. You'll be able to see Mrs. Corpening here. We'll be holding up a timer, so you'll be able to see how many minutes you have left. And then we'll have 3 minutes for question and answer. Do you have any questions before we get started? Okay, great. Yes, thank you.
My name is Kayla Bassett, and I am the Student Services Manager for the Center for European Studies here at UNC Chapel Hill, and I am also the staff advisor for our Model European Union team here at UNC. First, you're probably wondering, why conduct a Model European Union simulation here in the United States? Well, Model European Union, while similar to Model United Nations, which you might have heard more about, is a unique networking and professional development opportunity that explores the transatlantic relationship between the European Union and the US. It's an opportunity for students to put knowledge and skills they learn in the classroom into practice. So your political science classes, your economics classes, your business classes, take those skills you learn in the class and put them, it's learning by doing. But it is not just for political science students and those interested in international relations. It is also for business students, economic students, environmental studies students, because in a Model European Union simulation, you're exploring interdisciplinary topics like immigration, trade agreements, climate change, and the future of AI and work. It's an opportunity to show what the real world of politics and government is like, which is being willing to take the time to have a conversation, sit down with someone with perspective different than your own, and find common ground on tough real world issues. The simulations help form more educated and patient citizens. They learn empathy for others, practice problem solving and compromising, and respecting and understanding perspectives and viewpoints different than your own. Now, unfortunately, I think the font got messed up in the sending, but this is a quote from one of our students who have participated in a simulation before. We previously had funding from the EU delegation to the US, which allowed us to take a few students to different US model EU simulations. So this student said, these simulations create a group of young, intelligent citizens who have learned from and respect the EU and are willing to sit down and face real problems with new set of tools for productive conversations. So these are examples of Model EU simulations in the US, and we have identified that the biggest problem preventing students from participating in these wonderful professional development opportunities is cost. As you can see, the Mid-Atlantic Model EU in Washington, D.C., it's $400 per school and $30 per student. Midwest MEU in Bloomington, Indiana, $200 per school, and you have to bring a minimum of 7 students. West Coast Model EU in Seattle, Washington, close to $50 per student, and Pittsburgh is $40 per student, but none of these costs include transportation and lodging. So the total costs vary per university, and this is straight from the Mid-Atlantic Model EU website. It's close to $2,500 to $4,000, depending on the total number of students. So these registration costs are prohibitive to students taking part in this great opportunity. So that is why it's our goal to host an inaugural Model EU simulation here at UNC Chapel Hill. As you saw from the table, there are no Model EU simulations in the Southeastern United States. So we would be the first and be bringing this opportunity to a whole region. And we would like to provide this unique professional development extracurricular opportunity to undergraduate students at no cost to the student. We are proposing to have 20 registration scholarships of $150 each for a total of $3,000 to run a 2-day simulation here at UNC, and your funds would go directly to the student. They would pay for hotel rooms, 1 meal, gas reimbursement for those traveling greater than 50 miles, and materials for the simulation. The UNC Center for European Studies would cover the cost of staffing the simulation, bringing in a guest speaker from the EU delegation to the US to do a keynote speech, reserving building space, and having world-renowned faculty working on the EU to US relationship advise the students on the topics. We have a long-standing relationship with all the departments here in the College of Arts and Sciences, so we would advertise widely and bring in students from many different disciplines. And so we really want to emphasize that the funds would go directly to the students, whereas as you can see with the other more costly registration costs for other simulations, that's going to staffing and other university needs, whereas your funds would go directly to the students and allow them to participate in this opportunity. I want to thank you all for your time and listening, and I'd like to open it up to questions.
Kayla, thank you very much for your presentation. We'll open it up now for 3 minutes of questions. Yes, David.
Be loud.
You're welcome. I don't think there's anyone on Zoom right now.
No.
Okay.
Up to you.
So, hi, David. Is it more UNC students or other students from around it?
The main population we'll be serving is UNC students. We will open a few spots up to community colleges and other universities around the area to bring in different perspectives. But the main population we want to serve is undergraduate UNC. We're looking at spring 2025.
Alicia.
Rodriguez. You were asking for registrations for hotels but if there's UNC students, are you not planning to have it in our campus?
We are planning to have on campus. The hotel would be for those few schools that we allow to travel in.
Lisa.
Hi, Lisa Beiser. A little bit of a follow-up question about the hotels. Why is it important to provide the lodging for other schools who are visiting? It wasn't clear that like when there were other simulations in other locations, I was thinking it was the student or the school's responsibility to provide the lodging.
So a lot of
or when we were traveling to these other simulations, we had the grant money to provide the lodging. Otherwise, we would not have been able to go and participate, just because traveling to the place, lodging is one of the great costs. So by bringing in other schools, you bring in other perspectives, and this is just one less barrier to prevent them from participating.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question. Christy.
First off, thank you for being here. And I love the Model UN and the Model European Union projects. So thank you for presenting this opportunity to us. I think I would share the concern of other parents that, you know, we're kind of here to support UNC students and figuring out a way where we could, as much as I think it's important to have the other voices there, like maybe their parents' council could help student, like, so just kind of thinking through that as we think about how we could potentially stand this up. Yeah.
We can, if that is a concern, we can of course alter it where it's only serving UNC and then open up to graduate students as well, but we could focus it just on the undergraduate students of UNC Chapel Hill.
All right, Kayla, thank you for your presentation. There we go. So you'll hear back from the new Student and Family Programs Office in April about your grant.
Thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful meeting with you all today.
Thank you.
Is it the case that we're, oh, okay.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great. I'm Chrissy Coley. This is my husband, Tim. We're the national chairs for the Carolina Parents Council. On behalf of our executive committee, thank you so very much for submitting a grant application. We are very excited to hear your presentation today. You'll have 7 minutes to present, and then you'll have 3 minutes for Q&A. Mrs. Corpening here will hold up a card to let you know how many more minutes you've got left. And so let me ask, do you have any questions before we jump in and get started?
No, thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Well, welcome. Thanks.
All right. So hi everyone. My name is Kayla Buffalo. I am one of the health professions advisors here at UNC Chapel Hill. So I am presenting on behalf of the Office of Health Professions Advising. And I am presenting a Parent Council Grant Award proposal for an inaugural admissions test resource library. So my presentation is a PDF. I don't know what happened here, but So first I'll just talk about who we are. I'll describe the program. I'll kind of go through some of the expenses for applying to medical school and dental school. And then I'll go into like the potential impact on our students. So who are we? We are the Office of Health Profession Advising. We were crafted out of based on a needs assessment that happened here on campus. And that needs assessment said that about 2,800 students come into Carolina each year hoping to go down the health profession path. And there was no centralized office to help advise these students. So our office recently opened. We just celebrated a year. We opened February 14th, 2023. So we are only a year old. And then I wanted to highlight some of the things that we've been able to kind of accomplish so far. So we've hosted about 1,500 one-to-one 30-minute appointments with students. We've met with over 1,100 students. We've hosted 20 plus programs with at least 700 plus attendants. And then something that I'm really proud about that I was able to establish is our inaugural cohort of peer guides. And those peer guides are student leaders who basically advise their peers. So those students have been able to see over 100 students. So the program itself, again, it is an inaugural resource library. The goal is to alleviate some of the taxing costs associated with